Hi, I'm Mitchell Ringos. Welcome to Word for Word, where we offer you an in-depth look at some of our interviews with newsmakers from across the Northwest. Local MP Patty Hajdu was the guest speaker at the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce Leaders Luncheon last week. The Federal Minister of Indigenous Services and Minister responsible for FedNor was there to address the local business community.
FedNor and how its effects to the community of Thunder Bay.
Yeah, so today I was at the Chamber of Commerce talking about economic reconciliation and the importance of moving forward in a fully inclusive way so that the entire region prospers. FedNor is a part of that. FedNor itself has been evolving. It has a new president and certainly focused on making sure that we're supporting good projects across the region, including Indigenous-led projects, and that helps our economies diversify and stay strong in the case of any kinds of sector shock or economic shock, and it's very important work.
And what's the total budget for FedNor?
I don't have that offhand right now. We'll get you the details. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patty, can I ask you about the importance of Indigenous businesses merging with like the mining sector and the forestry sector, the growing mining sector here? How important is it for them to be connecting with these new businesses coming into Thunder Bay, specifically Thunder Bay, from all over the world?
Well, I think developers of natural resource projects and large corporations, indeed some medium and small size corporations, are looking at partnership with Indigenous entrepreneurs and business as a way forward. And in fact, that's the fair and smart way forward. Indigenous people have been the stewards of the land for a very long time, and they've also been excluded from economic prosperity intentionally, using colonial tools that was intended to clear the land of Indigenous people so that non-Indigenous people could benefit from those resources. And our federal government has been taking huge steps forward to make sure that when natural resource projects are evolving and as we have opportunity to develop our natural resources, that the benefits of those projects are shared across the board with Indigenous peoples. And so it's really nice to see, for example, the Chamber have Jason Thompson as their president. He is an Indigenous entrepreneur and has been for many years. And it's that kind of reflection, I think, that creates stronger economies for everyone. It's also a way to bring in new talent, new ideas, new ways of doing things that I think will benefit us all.
Do you see a growth in the Indigenous communities picking up, starting to connect with some of these businesses, the education to try and get on board to get these jobs and go to work and make this work?
Well, for generations, Indigenous people have been entrepreneurs. In fact, we have many businesses in communities that don't necessarily consider themselves a business, but they are indeed running full businesses. I think what's different is that the suite of policy tools that are available under the federal Liberals have been there, put into place to ensure that there's a firm commitment to that economic reconciliation, whether it's investing in skills training, whether it's changing the way that we do impact assessment agreements to include Indigenous voices and Indigenous benefit, and whether it's investing in the kinds of tools that will help Indigenous communities reimagine how they want to generate their own income. These are all really important aspects of reconciliation, and I think, as I said in my speech, and in fact economists say, that when you have a diverse and truly fully integrated economy, that's when communities really thrive.
Thank you.
The program that you alluded to in your speech with you and MP Pulowski, can you just shed some more light on that? The employee program, getting more employees into
The
businesses?
Regional Northern
That one,
Immigration
yes.
Pilot. Yeah, so Thunder Bay's been really fortunate for the last several years to be part of something called the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, RNIP for short. This program allows Thunder Bay to receive specifically newcomers to the region that have a specific set of skills. The community has an opportunity to weigh in on how the program is shaped, and it's been hugely beneficial to employers over the number of years that it's been in place. It allows newcomers to come to Thunder Bay with the potential of not only getting a job, but growing their skills and becoming an integral member of the community. Employers love it, newcomers love it, and certainly we've heard a lot of advocacy to make the program permanent and expand the numbers, and that's certainly the work that MP Pulowski and I are doing, is to advocate for the permanence of that project.
and any movement on that being permanent, or is it still a work in
It
progress
looks
right
really
now?
positive. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but it looks really positive. Certainly, the Minister of Immigration, the previous ministers, saw for himself the kinds of numbers in terms of retention that we're seeing. One of the concerns, of course, is always, will the newcomers that come to Northern Ontario stay in Northern Ontario? And we've proven as a region that we can not just attract people, but that we can retain people. That was a big part of the project. We didn't want to see, this be a way, a side door, if you will, for people to get into the country and then move to another area. But what employers are saying is that, the employees that are coming, the people that are coming, they are becoming integrated not just into their own business and their own business community, but into the community at large. And I've met a number of the members of the community that have come through the program, and they love it here and they want to stay here. And that's a really important metric.
Is it a little bit of a catch-22 in terms of the housing issue? With the more immigrants that come to Canada, to Ontario, to Thunder Bay, they are studying in our universities, they're taking up seats in our universities, they're taking jobs, which is what we need. We need to fill this labor shortage. But is it a bit of a catch-22 where there's a housing issue now as a result?
Well, I think all levels of government have a responsibility to adapt and change and grow with a growing population. There's no denying that Canada needs people in order to grow our economy. In fact, if you speak to any of the employers here, the number one complaint they've had is that they can't find people to do the jobs, whether we're talking about skilled trades or whether we're talking about care work or whether we're talking about specific professions. Employers all across the board, all across Canada, but especially profoundly in small and rural communities, are saying we can't continue without people. So that is a call to action, and the federal government has responded to that call to action with an ambitious immigration plan to help our Canadian companies continue to grow, to help ensure that we have the right blend of people to do the things we need to do. We have an aging population, there's no question about it. But the second part of that is that we need partners. We need partners at the municipal and provincial level to roll up their sleeves and to figure out what those housing blends look like. Now, colleges and universities here in Northern Ontario do a pretty good job of making sure that their students have housing and they have supports for students. Some colleges in other communities that are, let's say, less rigorous in that approach are not supporting their students. And I think really all of us are going to have to look at what we can do at every level of leadership to make sure that there's affordable housing across the continuum. The federal government has a national housing strategy. We've invested money into that strategy. We're going to continue to invest money, and I would suspect invest even more. But we will need provinces, territories, yes, and private sectors, including colleges and university, public sector schools, to help us figure out what that looks like, and we'll be there as a strong partner.
So I did ask a question about housing. We know that housing is a big topic right now, both at the provincial and the federal levels, and the federal government has been trying to find some ways to support, and so trying to just wanting to get her insights into what are they talking about, what is this something that is of kind of on the top burner for them, and it clearly is, not only in her role as Indigenous Services, but as a member of Cabinet. This is something that's a huge piece of the puzzle. And it's a huge problem, it's a huge challenge for us here, because we know that we are cusp for amazing growth, with all of the mining development. So how do we make sure that we don't lose out on attracting labor, attracting new business, attracting even students to our college and universities because they have nowhere to live? And so, it really is a large piece of the economic puzzle. We need new people to come to our community, and we need to make sure that we have a place for them to live. And so, all levels of government need to be involved in the conversation. And so, really great to have the opportunity to hear the federal perspective and to, make the minister aware that this is an economic issue for us in Thunder Bay. And so, to sort of keep pushing her to keep doing what she is at the federal level on that issue.
You mentioned, or she mentioned in her remarks about a program that her and MP Pulowski were working on to retain workers, to attract workers. Do you know offhand if any of the Thunder Bay businesses have been involved in that pilot program?
Are we talking about the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot? Yes, absolutely. The Thunder Bay CEDC is the lead organization on the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot, which is also called RNIP. The pilot is up to expire early next year, and so we've been pushing to make it a permanent program. Certainly, there's been a couple of hundred. I think we're pushing 300 people that have been put through that program, and it's been a huge benefit to local employers to bring folks from away, to get them settled in a job here in a community and help them towards a path towards permanent residency. So it's been a huge benefit to our community and to our region, and we're certainly hopeful that that program will continue, because Thunder Bay again needs those folks to be coming here and settling here to address our labor issues and to allow us to grow.
Does it seem like the other levels of government are as engaged as, say, Minister Hajdu is with the housing challenges in some of your meetings with provincial and municipal leaders?
Absolutely. Housing, I think, is one of those issues that is on the radar as probably one of the top 2 or 3 issues in every conversation, whether it's at the federal or provincial or municipal level. And again, they're all trying to figure out how to work together, because there are jurisdictional pieces, right? So I think that's the first step is the collaboration. There's definitely willingness between the 3 different orders of government to try to find ways to help each other, and so it's refreshing to see that that approach is really taking hold on this file.
Thunder Bay residents were able to get their geek on at the CLE over the weekend for ThunderCon. The event brought together fans of all different genres, various vendors, and a number of special guests, including some of the original Degrassi cast.
What does it mean to be in Thunder Bay for all the fans of Degrassi?
Oh, you know what? We're just so happy to have the opportunity to meet our fans. You know, decades ago, we didn't do this type of events. ThunderCon is a family-friendly event where people can just come and nerd out and geek out and celebrate their past and the nostalgia. And we're kind of representing 80s pop culture. So we're just so grateful that people remember us and want to meet us.
Stacey, what sort of a fan base do you see here? People like my age, 50-year-olds from watch the show from back in the day, or do you see people who watch it in reruns and much younger?
It's awesome. It's all of that. It's a lot of people that we actually feel like we grew up together. That's what we hear a lot, because we did grow up together. Yeah. But it's also a lot of the younger generations too that were either forced to watch it from their parents or because it's on Prime TV now, so it's so accessible.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the legacy of the show, and when you started working on it at such a young age, did you think it was going to have such an enduring appeal?
No. I don't think any of us could have ever predicted how long the show would be popular. I mean, it just at the time it was a cool job. It was fun. But yeah, I think we didn't really get a sense until we started doing publicity trips, and then we would see the fans in different countries, and it was kind of a mind-blowing experience growing up, as a teenager.
Yeah, we didn't get into this thinking that we were going to become part of Canadian pop culture. Degrassi was a summer job for many of us, and every year that we would come back for a new season, we were like, wow, we're going to get to do this again? And then after Degrassi ended, it was like, okay, our fun is over and we'll go back to our regular lives and go to university and have families. But the show has this longevity, and the fact that the audience keeps coming back to watch the different variations of Degrassi from the next gen and next class, and it just means that a show like Degrassi is needed so that every generation has their version of our show.
Why do you think it's so appealing?
Well, because of the way we tackle our topics, we don't talk down to our audience. We allow them to. There's a consequence for decisions that you make, and it's not like an adult comes in and fixes everything. Young people are not dumb, but they're not experienced. And that's, I think, the reality of life for everybody today. And I think they appreciate the honest discussion that we create with our series.
Yeah, and they didn't sugarcoat anything or avoid topics that were, at the time, taboo to talk about. And all these topics they may be more complicated now with social media, but they're still at the heart of it, the same basic issues that everybody has to deal with, I think. So.
What's the question that most people, what's the most asked question of you guys, do you think?
What was our favorite episode?
Are we friends in real life? Because I guess they think the camaraderie that we had on the show, did that last after the show ended? And in truth, it did. Many of us are still friends. Like Yik Yu is my best friend. I was the best man at his wedding. He was the best man at my wedding. These are relationships that have standed the test of time, and it's something that's really, really nice that I'm still tight with these people that I've known for over 3 decades.
The Ontario Native Women's Association welcomed people from all backgrounds to stand together and attend the organization's 6th annual powwow to honor missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and their families.
So the powwow has been intended to help heal and support families and survivors of missing and murdered Indigenous women.
How does it feel on Ottawa's side seeing everyone out here today?
So I remember when staff first came to us and said, we need to do a powwow, because they're the ones that are spending most of the time with community members. And so hearing from community members that this was something that was needed, we were a little concerned. I was a little concerned because I was like, we've never done a powwow before, but it's one of those things that you learn how to do. So each year we get a little better at it. We have a tremendous support from the families that we serve because they come and enjoy it and spend time here. And we've been told that in this space they feel safe. So it's really amazing to be able to create that space for Indigenous women and their families to help with their healing.
I was going to say, how has, this is the 6th year?
Yeah.
So how is this year compared to, I guess, the first time you guys tried this?
Well, I think we've gotten way better at organizing it. We go back to those people that support us, like Todd Geno and the team and the drum groups that are here. They help us tremendously in guiding us in the work that we do. And one of the things that we've learned from the families of missing and murdered is to really support them. And to do that, we need to begin with culture. So having these cultural aspects to support their healing is amazing. So the drum groups, you can hear them in the back. We've got Grassy Narrows Women's Drum Group. We've got Gishigo Kwe from Manitou Rapids. And they really carry our families and support us in the work we do.
Can you talk about maybe some of the other things that are going on here today?
I noticed this year we have a lot of support from local businesses. We have a lot of Indigenous women's crafts groups here selling their wares, and I always love that because these women that are making crafts and they're making medicine, and they're helping others by selling, making that work so that people can wear it and feel good wearing it, right? So the other piece is we've got some food trucks here that aren't, we're getting a lot more interest in it, in the sense that, there's a big lineup for food, but you may want that Indian taco that's kicking around here somewhere. So it's nice that, it's really feeling like a powwow that you would attend over the weekend and stuff. So it's great.
I was gonna say, what goes into planning something like this?
The planning is ongoing. It's year-round. We have an amazing group of women and men that work for ONWA that are completely committed and passionate to supporting the families of missing and murdered Indigenous women, but not just them, but also all of our community members, right? So ONWA's a big part of our work is service delivery, and we work with families every day to find out what's needed to help and support them so that they can lead a really good life.
Final question is, I guess, why is it important for ONWA to hold this every year?
I think annually is something that we need to always make that space in our lives to recognize those women that have gone missing or who have been murdered, but not just annually, but every day. The Grandmother Red Dress speaks to the violence that Indigenous women experience every day of our lives. The reality is we don't know safety the way other populations have known it. So being able to come to this space and have that commonality and be able to support each other with love and kindness and know and share compassion for one another is an amazing thing to be able to do for our communities.
Thanks for joining us for today's edition of Word for Word. We'll be back tomorrow with more interviews from across the Northwest.